responsibilities. And so the idea was that she would communicate with HR directly and kind of like use her network to get people that she works with opportunities to get jobs. They sent their resumes and they still didn't even get an interview. And she was like, wait a minute, I'm using my network. So the idea is that your resumes just have to be on point, because you don't want any reason. Because if the decision process is already hard enough, so you make it really easy when there are typos or you don't have enough information or your formatting is complicated and doing too much. So it makes it really simple for you to get excluded before you even get started. The average interview time is 45 minutes to 1 hour. So you should expect that anytime you have an interview, at minimum 45 minutes. Sometimes they may go faster depending on the person or the group of people interviewing, but you should expect at least an hour. Okay, so what do we wear? Dress how you want to be addressed, right? Your look, your attire is your presentation, your first introduction to a person outside of your resume. So this has been visually seeing you. You want to have your stuff together and you want them to think, oh, this person is professional, they are ready, they are here to show me their best. So for our women, we want to make sure that you're dressing in moderation. Maybe a two-piece suit. It doesn't have to be a suit, it doesn't have to be a skirt, but it should be something that is professional. If you do wear a skirt, it should be knee length. Not really. I don't really do the hosiery thing, but if you like that, then go for it. But you should stick to a dark color shoe that matches what you're wearing. If you go for a pantsuit, the same thing. You want to stick with solid colors. And you know, if you like a lot of like patterns and things, this is just that 1 hour that you avoid that. Be as what do I want to say? Simple is more. Okay. As far as the don'ts, for this woman, her necklace is too large, it's too long. Her colors are too bright. Capris are definitely not for an interview, and then open-toe shoes are no. Okay, you definitely want to have closed-toe shoes. Your hair, any style, as long as it's just presentable. And then if you choose to wear flats, just make sure that they look professional. They're not sneakers. Okay? Questions about this? All right, for the guys, you are looking at white or blue button-up shirts. You want a well-fitted suit, perfect colors for interviews, navy, gray, or black. You'll want to definitely do blazers and slacks. You should wear a tie. You don't have to, depending on the position, but I always say it's always better to be overdressed than underdressed. And then your shoes should match your belt and your blazer. You don't want to look too casual, like the guy on the top with the untucked shirt, baggy pants, the mismatch. You also want to avoid wearing a suit that's too small. It doesn't fit properly. But I think that for the most part, we know how to put our clothes on when we need to. Any questions? Anything surprising about either of these? No? Okay, perfect. All right, so the next thing, we are going to want to identify why you want to work for the company, right? So you want to review their website. You want to know who they serve, the people, like specifically if you're thinking about Harris Health, we serve underrepresented communities, people with who are from low-income backgrounds, things like that. If you want to know you also want to know any areas of focus, special areas. You want to be able to speak to accomplishments. So if the company has won any awards recently, if they've been acknowledged for anything that's on their website, you don't have to memorize the website, but you should be able to say, I was really impressed by this accomplishment, or last year I noticed that you won this award. You'll want to be able to say 2 or 3 things that appeal to you based on the company and the job posting. Got it? Questions? Alright, so there are some basic questions that every interviewer is going to ask. I don't know about all healthcare organizations, but I do know that for Harris Health, there is a basic interview template, and everyone outside of high-level managers answer the exact same questions, which is kind of weird to me, but it is just the idea that you can absolutely be prepared for most of the questions that most companies are going to ask you just by understanding what most employers are going to be looking for. So generally most jobs' first question will be, tell me about yourself, right? So the idea is that you have already an answer. You can type it up, you can write it out, whatever you need to do to help you, but having your answer already written means that when you get into the interview, even if you are literally sweating, you still already know what you want to say. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're authentic. You stick to your professional work self. When they ask you, tell you about yourself, they don't want to know about your dogs, your hobbies, any of that. They want to know about work, how you interact with colleagues, things like that. So you want to keep it brief. That's why you want to write it down, because if you don't write it down, because you may be nervous, you might ramble, and you don't want that. So you want to practice your answer, and you also want to tailor your answer to that job. So you may have to change your answer depending on what you're applying for, because your answer for Harris Health may not be the same for Memorial Hermann. Okay, so I have a little formula here, and I'll share this with you guys. So the formula is, you talk a little bit about your past, your background, any relevant work experience, your education, and then you talk about the present, currently what you're doing or any accomplishments that you've had, and then you talk about the future and why you want this job. So I have a sample. All right, so hi, my name is Ajane. I'm a recent graduate of the School of Diagnostic Medical Imaging in the ultrasound program. Throughout my didactic and clinical experience at Harris Health, I've been fortunate to receive top training from some of the best in the field. I've enjoyed those experiences. At this time, I'm a sales associate at Target, which is also a learning experience because I've really honed in on my client services and problem-solving skills. I find joy in helping other people because of my compassionate nature. It's really where I flourish. So moving forward, I've recently passed my AV registry, and I'm excited to join an ultrasound team where I can be a valuable asset to the team and the company vision. Right? It's clear, it's concise. I talk about the past, I'm talking about currently, and I'm talking about moving forward. Practicing it means that when you present it, you are going to sound amazing, but you need to write it out. questions? Does this feel like a lot? No? Okay. Y'all so quiet today? I feel like I gotta start dancing or something. Okay, so question 2 most likely will be, how did you hear about this position? So you'll want to be specific. If you got it from a referral, somebody works at the company, you found it on LinkedIn, on whatever job site, you'll want to use some research to make your point, and then you'll want to confirm the position that you've applied for, right? So they know that you are not just saying, hey, I just want to work here, or I just want a job. Like, no, this is the position. I'm being intentional. This position is the one that I want. So you could say, I was doing a job search on LinkedIn and I saw the posting for the radiologic technologist position with your company. You could say wonderful company, whatever. If that sounds too fake for you, just be real, right? I reviewed your company mission. Don't say that if you didn't do it. And I read the articles on your accomplishments in this industry. I saw that Herman Memorial Hospital has been acknowledged as one of the top 100 U.S. hospitals based on performance. And so this is really impressive to me, and I thought this would be an amazing place to work based on the recognition of high industry standards. I know the radiologist technologist position is a perfect match for me and my skill set. So again, well thought out, not too much, but be yourself. So if these aren't things that you would normally say, then that's fine, but just you need to have it where you're talking about how you found the job, something that impressed you about the position, and then why you think that you're going to be a great fit for the position. Got it? Okay. So this is where it gets challenging, right? Because those first 2 questions are like the easy ones. Those are like, oh, I'm gonna fluff and tell you all the amazing things about me and your company. But when they start to get to the behavioral questions, this is where most people kind of like start to lose their thoughts. So they could be asking you, generally these questions are like scenario questions. They want to know a little bit about how you respond, how you behave. And so they'll ask you about accomplishments, or talking about when you had to make difficult decisions, or building relationships with difficult coworkers, which you guys have probably all experienced in the clinic, so you should definitely have some story for that, right? You have to recall a time where you were confronted with a major change or setback, or a time where you encountered a frustrated customer or patient. So the trick to all of these also is to have actual stories already in your head, right? So you know that you'll probably need to talk about a time that you had a difficult time with a coworker, a difficult time with a patient. How do you handle success? What was the time that you experienced some kind of success or achievement? What happened? So you'll think about these experiences, and they could absolutely be clinical experiences. They don't have to be work, but you just need to have stories in your mind that you can refer to when the questions come up. So there is also this method in how you answer questions called the STAR method. So you have a situation, you talk about a task or thing that you did, you talk about the action and then the results. So when you're writing it out, you could, however it works for you, but you start off with talking, you kind of set the scene for them, tell them the story of what the situation was. Then you go into how you were responsible for that position and what you wanted to achieve. Then you talk about what you did and then what the results were. So let's look at an example. So just a little bit shorter version, a little more compact, is telling the story, list the 3 things that you did, and then you summarize your answer and you make sure that you tell them the outcomes. So you're like, so at the end of it, you saying like, so what I was able to accomplish by doing 1, 2, and 3 was that I was able to connect with everyone, and we ended up having a wonderful relationship moving forward. So you always want to end on a positive note, even if it didn't really end on a positive. Make it up. All right. So you also absolutely need to have questions for the interviewer. Please do not leave an interview without your own questions. So have your questions already written down, or as you're listening to them, or they're asking you questions, or they're telling you about the position, you should have some questions for them that they can answer to help you, because you're not just applying for the job. You are finding the place where you want to work. And it has to be a mutual searching process, right? So you want to know, what is the management team like? What are the teams like? You don't want to get on a job and you hate everybody, because there's not enough money in the world that makes that worth it. So you should be searching and asking questions, because that also implies to them that you are of value. You hold yourself in value, that you're not just willing to take whatever is out there, that you saying like, oh no, for me, these are the things that I need. I need a manager who communicates effectively. I need a team that works well together. I need opportunities to have like work-life balance, or whatever those things are that are important to you. So these are some questions that I came up with. So you could ask things like, what are the biggest challenges that someone in this position would face? That's definitely going to tell you what you should expect when you get into the job. As long as they're honest, if they're telling you, well, the biggest challenges is that we work every weekend, and sometimes people feel like that's a lot to manage. So if you're willing to work every weekend, then this is a position for you. And if you don't want to work every weekend, when you walk out, you're like, oh, no, thank you. Right? Where have successful employees previously in this position progressed to? That's going to tell you, do they look to promote? Are they growing you as an employee? Or are you just going to be stuck as a technologist for the rest of your life? Right? You should be able to tell if they are like people who say, oh, you know what? Let me give you this little bit of work so you can get out and get more experience. Let me put you in this position. Let me connect you with this person. So you want to be able to see where successful people have gone. If they haven't gone anywhere and you're looking to be more than just a technologist, this is not the role for you, right? What are some important things that you'd like to see me accomplish in the first 60 to 90 days? So in the interview, you're asking, what's my expectation, so that we don't have it confused. When I start working, if I know based on the interview, you already told me within the first 60 to 90 days, this is what I should be doing. Then when you get into the job, you're not like, I don't know, I'm just here. You already know, you're gonna feel more confident, you have a plan. What's your favorite part about working here? Or tell me about the team I'll be working with. When you ask, tell me about the team I'll be working with, if they're like, oh, we're great, it's like a family, we do this together, we do that together, we have all these things, then you're like, oh, this might be a good team. But then if they're like, oh, well, yeah, we work well together, and they start stumbling, you're like, I don't think so. So these questions are for you. I will share these with you, so you don't have to write them down, but you'll want to make sure that you at least have 3 or 4 of these in your pocket, so that when your opportunity comes up, you ask these
Ma'am, question.
Yeah.
What if a bunch of us have the same question for them? Does it matter? Because if we choose from this list and a bunch of us have the same question.
Well, so are you talking about for mock interviews?
Yes.
That won't matter.
It
It won't matter. But for a real interview,
then we will so good.
everyone's gonna have questions, and your question, even though it may be the same kind of inquiry, you may not say it the same way that somebody else said it. I wouldn't worry about that. And if you think that you would want to ask something different from these, you could do a Google search and find a ton of questions to ask interviewers. Any other questions? Yes.
I've asked them about the company picnic before. Is that good or no? Or is that good?
The company picnic?
Yeah.
Um,
When is it? What was it like last year? Do y'all
That's good.
go? Is there alcohol allowed?
I don't know about the alcohol.
That one's a bad one? I mean, it gives you a good idea about the work culture.
Oh yeah. But would that make or break you accepting the position?
It would, I mean, if I'm balancing on two different jobs, yeah.
And then you would say, well, this company has picnics with alcohol in the same place.
Well, I'm sober, so I would choose the one that,
Does not.
Okay.
right.
I like that. Okay.
I feel like then you will have to mention, otherwise they would think you're coming for the alcohol.
Yeah. Right. That's what I was thinking. Cause it's hard. How would you know what the person is implying without saying like what the situation is, right? Yeah. But I don't think that that's a bad question because it's really you trying to just learn the culture of the organization. So you may want to preface it like, you know, I want to know a little bit more about the culture of your organization. Could you tell me about some things that you all do outside of work, extracurriculars, company picnics, etc., and then let them tell you. Any other questions? No? Okay. Alright, so some things that you want to remember. You want to make sure that you're making eye contact, that you're smiling, you're being polite, you pay attention to everything. You should not ever walk into an interview empty-handed. A folder, a notebook, a binder, whatever, something that you can carry with you. You need to have something to be able to write things down. So my next one, writing things down shows how interested you are. If they say something that you want to remember, or maybe you want to reference later in a question, write it down so you don't forget. And then you could just tell them, I'm just gonna take a few notes as we talk so that I can keep track of our conversation. And make sure you answer the question. This one seems so basic, but it messes people up all the time. Because you're nervous, you get a question and you're like, oh well, and then ramble onto something that doesn't actually answer the question. It happens so much. And you know that you didn't answer the question if the person follows up with another question similar to the first question. That may mean that you didn't actually answer the question. So you want to make sure that you could even repeat the question in your answer just to be sure that you're answering the question. Take 2 copies of your resume. If they tell you it's a group of at least 2. If they tell you it's a panel interview or you want to interview with like 3-4 people, you need a resume for every single person in the room. Just in case they don't have it, you want them to be able to see your resume as they're talking to you. And then you want to send a thank you email within 24 to 48 hours. Something really simple. Then you don't have to elaborate. But if there was anything in the interview that happened that would make you stand out, like you guys connected over college you went to or your hometown, you may want to make a little brief comment about that, but you want to just make sure that you send out a thank you.